in your experience, how messed up was that part of the dope game? Meth. How crazy?
Listen, you could fleece a dope fiend, but if you try to fleece a tweaker, they ain't forgetting about it.
Bruh.
And they doing some off the wall, creepy, scary shit. Because what they're going to do now, say you sell them a good bag and they're high for a couple days and they want more to stay awake. Well, you sell them a fleece bag to just get over on somebody, to make a little come up. They're not going to sleep. They're staying up for 4 or 5 more days plotting, thinking, how am I going to get this dude back?
Yeah.
In your inbox, blowing you up, talking about you to all your friends, all your friends, all their friends. So it's not like, and I'm not going to say dope fiend. It's not like somebody who uses heroin where they'll be like, oh, damn, he got me. Now I got to go boost something else and go to somebody else. Or now I got to call the other person and be like, hey, so-and-so got me. Can you can you help me out with the tester so I can, and then I'll come back. You know what I mean? It's not like that. The tweakers, whew.
They stay in the same circle, bro.
And yes, they're all in the same circle. And
everybody screws over everybody and still like lightweight, still.
I'm going to say like early on in my career of selling dope, there was a few people that I got. And it wasn't like, oh, I need a quick come up. It's because they got on my nerves, for real. I'm not going to lie. They would get on my nerves, and I'll just be like, dude, why are you, it's 3 a.m. You can't wait till 7 a.m. when the sun comes up? I need it now. Like, no. Okay. You'll get what you get at 3 a.m. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I do.
Because when you're on meth, you're like really paranoid. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure you've used meth before. It's not like crack where you're looking out the windows all the time, but it's like, oh, this person's about to try to rob me.
Oh yeah.
Oh, this person's the police. This person's got the police with him. That's why he's blowing me up at 3 o'clock. So it wasn't like I was intentionally fleecing somebody. It's because I didn't want them to bug me anymore.
Right.
But it made it worse every time.
Oh, for sure. So about 4 years of dealing with all of that craziness, in and out of jail. At what point did you start taking recovery serious?
Let's see. 11/24/21. 11/4/21.
And what changed in your life from a life of childhood trauma to marijuana, alcohol, cocaine?
So when right before I went to prison in 19 or in 20, right before I went to prison, I was...
For what?
F2 aggravated possession of meth, 5 ounces. Which I got lucky because I had 2 pistols on me too, and they only hit me with the F2. Instead of that, should have been a Fed case.
I had 2 guns also, but
so
anyway, yeah.
So I caught the case in 19. I was in Veterans Court in Montgomery County at the time. Caught the case.
Yeah.
I was in jail. I caught it in like February. I was in jail for like 4 months and had a sit-in judge. And the sit-in judge let me out on house arrest.
On an F2, 5 ounces of meth?
F2.
Damn.
The sit-in judge was my Veterans Court judge.
No kidding.
I had never reported to Veterans Court ever one time. I don't even know how this man knew my name. And he was like, Mr. Winkler, aren't you one of mine? And I was like, I am, Your Honor.
Oh, you had no idea. You were just, you knew it.
I had no idea that he was the Veterans Court judge.
Yeah.
Until I actually went to court that day, and I looked at my public defender, and I'm like, hey, ask for, it's a sit-in judge.
Yeah.
Take advantage of this situation and ask for house arrest. And she was like, oh, it's not going to happen. And I was like, it's not going to happen if you don't ask. She was like, I'll ask.
So he granted
when he
it.
asked, he granted it immediately.
So what do you do with that?
I'm on the phone calling 17 people, like, I need you to, call this number and give them your address and da-da-da-da-da. I'm getting out.
Yeah.
And I had a hood brother or a brother, I'm not going to say his name, but I had a brother that still to this day supports my recovery, but is kind of still out there in addiction.
Yeah.
But he definitely took me in, and he definitely taught me a lot about how to do, if you're going to sell, how to sell it the right way.
Right.
To make money. So I ended up cutting off my ankle bracelet.
And start selling dope again.
And started selling dope again. And the marshals were looking for me. The federal marshals were looking for me. And, which they weren't really looking that hard because I went to the house that I had on file for house
Gee,
arrest.
they were really looking for you, or you were high and you thought
No,
they
were looking for me.
For real.
I mean,
You cut off your ankle bracelet.
I cut off my ankle bracelet.
Somebody was definitely looking
somebody was looking for me.
for you. Yeah.
All I know is when I got arrested, I didn't get arrested with anything on me but some crumbs. I don't know. It was always like every time I was about to get arrested, I would always tell the people it's my superpower when I was getting high. Like my superpower is I know when I'm about to get arrested.
You make a flip, or you do it all, or you have
So
enough.
I had this intuition the day before I got arrested. I'm like, man, tomorrow's the day. So I sold everything I had, and the person I was with at the time at the hotel, I was like, oh yeah. She was like, why are you going outside? I'm like, I'm gonna go re-up. And that's because I had a feeling something was going on with this girl, because I've never, ever been robbed by a girl, been told on by a girl. It was always a dude that was out to get
Ain't
me.
that something, though? It's
crazy.
I got robbed by more girls than I did dudes. But anyway, shit is crazy, though. I did, man.
You got to take care of them, bro.
Yeah, I did.
You got to take
that.
care of them.
Yeah.
I'd have girls come in and drop off bags of clothes. Like, hey, I boosted these clothes. And then when a girl would come around and be like, you need some clothes? Boom. There's some clothes. See if any fit you. You just got to take care of them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they took care of themselves.
Yeah, they did.
Shit, bro.
Yeah, they did. Left you in the dirt, bro.
So you have crumbs on you, and then you're out.
Yeah, I
They
get
finally
caught.
I
finally get caught. I felt like I was set up, but that was a stepping stone to a turning point in my recovery. So everybody in the car got arrested except for the driver, who had the most paraphernalia on her.
That was a setup. He set you all up.
Yeah.
You already know?
Yeah. She got written tickets.
You already know how. Yeah.
So, again, like I said, I don't hold any hard feelings or anything like that. I'm not saying her name.
Yeah. So
her name is this. Don't
Yeah,
know.
She
no.
That's a setup. And for the viewers out there that didn't live in that world, we don't condone living in that world, but there's certain things you just learn.
Yeah.
And
street smarts.
Yeah. A setup is a setup. I got set up too. So, and I know, you just know it's just so anyway, this is a turning point in your recovery.
So I go to jail. Like I had a fake ID and everything, looked just like me and everything. Like they knew who, oh, we're not dumb. We know who you are. Top Shelf. Da 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 da.
What was that? Your street name?
Yeah, Top Shelf. Tony Top Shelf. You ain't never seen my shirt that I made, man. I should have wore that today.
I probably did. Yeah, no,
I should have wore that today. I could have promoted my shirt, but I'm never making another one anyway.
Tony Top Shelf in the streets.
Yeah. So
they knew that the cops knew your street name.
Yeah.
That's never good.
No. No. So I go to jail, I do my time. I go to prison. It's during COVID.
Same here, yeah.
I catch COVID twice. I'm in the hole. I think I'm going to die. But I mean, it is what it is. I get out. I actually had a warrant in Warren County for child support while I was in prison.
So you have a holder?
Instead of seeing me over the video like they're supposed to do,
They call you in.
They came and got me.
When you were supposed to get released from the joint?
Yes.
That's how you ended up in Warren County Vet Court?
This is how I ended up in Warren County.
On child support.
On child support. So I get released after 2 weeks. No house arrest
from
or
Warren
anything.
County.
From Warren County. I get released after 2 weeks. I'm supposed to have court 2 weeks later. I go and I report to my parole officer, which Montgomery County parole is a setup.
I always heard Montgomery County sweet, man.
Oh, it's sweet. It's sweet, but it's a setup for anybody trying to do the right thing. Like, you can't come out of prison and go to Montgomery parole and do the right thing. It's just no way. It's a setup.
Gotcha.
I go to this parole officer. He's not even my parole officer. He's my parole officer's supervisor. And he said, your parole officer's out today, but I'm gonna tell you our expectations and da 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 da. You know, he's like, I don't care how you make money or how you pay your fines. He said, you can go back out and start selling dope again. I don't care. And he said, but what I do care about is you getting a violent charge or getting caught with a gun. He said, then we're gonna have a problem. And he said, other than that, enjoy your, get off of parole. So I don't understand how these people keep getting sent to jail. Like, the man flat out told me, I don't care what you do. So what did I do?
Sold dope.
Went straight back out in the streets. So the whole time I'm in the streets now, I'm supposed to go back to court in Warren County in 2 weeks after I get out of jail. Within 2 weeks, I'm back up to the same weight distributing that I was before I went to prison.
Like quarter pound.
Keys.
Shit. And weeks.
Keys. Yep. Now, you want to talk about thinking about... Okay, I won't say a key in weeks. About 3 weeks I was selling a key. 2 pounds.
Yeah, so you're talking 48 ounces, bro.
No, 2 pounds.
So, or 32, about 32 ounces.
A little, it's like 33 and a half, 34. But I really wasn't making a lot of money. Because if you're not breaking it down and selling like dimes or eighths, if you're selling a quarter pound, you're only making like $100 a quarter pound.
Yeah.
You're only making 25 an ounce. You're really not making a lot of money.
That's
anyways,
that's the craziest thing about it, dude.
There's no money in that game.
There's none.
There's no money in that.
No.
So anyways, the whole time my mom's in my phone. Hey, I want to get lunch. Hey, you've been out for 3 weeks. I want to see you. My older sister, who I said earlier on, we never really had a relationship. Hey, do you want to meet up and get lunch? My cousin, like, all my family is reaching out to me, and I'm like looking at the phone and setting it down. I'm out of my mind. I think every car behind me is the cops. I think, you know what I mean? Like, 2 weeks go by. I got court. Call my public defender. I'm like, I'm not going to make it. I don't got a ride. Like, you guys know I don't have a ride. Like, I don't have transportation in Warren County. And they're like, okay, well, I'll get a continuance. Following week comes up. I don't got a ride. I can definitely get a ride next week, though. Okay, I'll make a continuance. But next week, after next week, we're not going to be able to get another continuance. I'm like, all right. Following week comes up, and I don't know what happened between that week and the following week. But that following week, when I finally get a ride, or, I had a ride the whole time. When I finally go to court, on my way to court, I'm drinking baking soda water
I've heard that works.
So it doesn't clean your system, it masks it. And we're not going to put ideas out here. I'm not going to tell you how it works. I'll tell you when that's off, but I'm not going to tell you how it works on here. In case anybody's lapsing, or...
Yeah, this is, you're getting to your recovery is what...
So, I'm drinking... I have a whole case of water bottles, and I'm putting the baking soda in the water bottles and drinking it on the way there, and smoking a bong of meth
at the same
time on my way there, and something like, I don't know if it was God or if it was my mind playing games on me. I don't really know what it was. I want to say it's my higher power working through me at this time. But I get there and I'm like, I pull out like, I don't know, like 14, 15 grams out of my pocket, and I hand it to my driver. I'm like, here, you can have this. How much money you got in your pocket? And they're like, $80. I'm like, give me it. Took the $80, handed them 20 back so they had gas to get home. $60 in my pocket.
For a half ounce, basically.
For a half ounce. I mean, I had more money, but I wasn't going to give it to them for free. Come on now.
I already know, bro.
So they're like, well, what's this for? And I was like, don't worry about it. And I went inside, and I'm sitting in the chair, where we went to drop for Veterans Court.
You're at Warren County.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, back in probation.
Yes, I'm sitting there in probation, and like a tear comes out of my eye. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, what the eyes watering? Like, I start like getting kind of a little emotional. Not like, not like bawling in there, but I get a little, like I tear up a little bit. And there was a girl that came in with me, and she was like, what's wrong with you? And I said, I'm done. I'm done. And she's like, what do you mean you're done? You got everything under control. You did the baking soda water and everything. You're good. You're coming home. And I took off my leather coat and handed her my phone, and I said, leave. I said, get out of here. And she was like, what? And I was like, get out of here. Called my name. I went back, and I told them, I'm like, I'm dirty. And they're like, you're what? I said, I'm dirty. Like, I'm going to pee dirty. Like, can you guys just, I want help. And they're like, well, just pee in the cup, and, we'll see where we stand, and da-da-da, So I peed in the cup. Clean. But I knew I was going to be clean, because I did the trick that I did the whole time I was on house arrest. So I'm like, well, if I'm clean in 2 hours, what then? Will you guys give me the help I need? And I was like, but I need help. Like, what if I'm dirty? What happens then? And he was like, well, we'll probably put you in jail. And I'm like, all right, well, put me in jail, and then in 2 hours, if I'm clean, I'll go home. 2 hours later, drop dirty. Dirty. I mean, I was dirty. My levels of meth were through the roof.
Melt the cup.
Yes. So I went to jail.
Old jail? Like old A-pod, B-pod?
No.
New jail?
No. New jail. The new jail. I forget what pod I was in, but I ended up in the worker pod. I'm thinking, I'm going to have court next week. When you go, when you use as much meth as I used, and I just smoked it or ate it or put it in my coffee and drank it, but when you use as much as I used, when you come down, you crash. I didn't get up to eat for like 3 days. Like, they thought I was dead. Like, I didn't wake up to go to the bathroom. just slept like I was in hibernation. I had been up for a couple weeks. I was tired, and it was.
I was tired. Hell yeah, you was tired.
I'm not. I mean, I was tired of getting high, man.
You were tired of everything.
I was tired. That's why, I go in front of Teep 2 weeks later, and Teep's like, I had been talking to my mom. I'm like, I'm in jail again, and she was like, yeah. I kind of figured. And I was like, well, I turned myself in this time. And she said, you what? And I said, well, I think enough is enough, Mom. And I said, I just want my family back, and I'll do whatever I have to do to get that back. And she said, well, I'm not sending you money. And I was like, don't worry, Mom. I had plenty of money on me when I got here. And she's like, okay. And plus, I mean, I had a couple girls that would send me money here and there when I needed it. But so Teep made me wait, So I go in front of Teep. Judge Teep, just so everybody knows, big part of my recovery.
Mine too.
Huge part of it.
Mine too.
Probably saved my life.
This episode is sponsored by Greg Swartz at Remax Victory and Affiliates. Whether you're buying your first home, selling, or making a move, Greg brings integrity, expertise, and heart to every step of the journey. He's not just a realtor, he's a trusted guide who puts your needs first. Call Greg today at 937-477-8975 and let him help you find your next home. And don't forget to tell him the Recovery Couch sent you.
I go in there. I had been talking to my mom. She's been trying to get me into Woodhaven. And I go in there, and he's like, well, you Mr. Winkler, you're here for 2 F5s, child support, and I see that you pissed hot, or, you pissed dirty, dropped dirty for methamphetamines. And he was like, I forget his word for word, but I was like, Your Honor, my mom's been out there putting in work, trying to get me into a program. And Teep's expression that he makes when he's disagreeing with you, right? Like, I didn't know about it yet. He was like, oh, yeah, what programs? And I said, well, she's trying to either get me in the Nova or Woodhaven. He was like, oh, is that so, Mr. Winkler? I was like, yeah, that's right.
That is so.
That is so. Like, she's sitting right over there. Like, she'll let you know. And he looked at her, and he was like, Miss Winkler? And she was like, oh, Miss Mattingly. And he was like, are you trying to get your son into treatment? She's like, yeah, I've called a couple places. And he was like, okay. Then he looked back at me, and he said, well, Mr. Winkler, you don't come into my courtroom making demands. I was like, scared the shit out. I thought he was sending me back to prison.
Yeah.
And he was like, he said, you can either do our program here that I run, Veterans Court, or you can do the Monday program, which is 6 months of recovery that you need. And I looked at him and I said, Your Honor, you're going to send me to the Monday program, just send me back to prison, because the Monday program is a setup for somebody like me. My mom's like looking at me like, what the are you doing? You just got home. You wanted help.
Yeah.
And he said, Mr. Winkler, I gave you 2 options. You can come to Veterans Court. You never know. It might change your life. And I said, Your Honor, I live in Dayton. Like, if I get released today and I live in Dayton, how am I going to get to court? I'm going to have to call the only people I know who use drugs to get me to court. How do you think that's going to work? And I said, and I want treatment. I want treatment. Like, I want to go to a treatment facility. And he was like, well, if I put you in Veterans Court, I'm going to let you out on house arrest today. And I said, if you let me out on house arrest, I'm going to do the same thing I did the last 2 times. I'm going to cut off that ankle monitor, and I'm going to go back out using again. And I said, and it's not because I want to. It's because I know myself.
Probably the smartest thing you could have said, but it probably it probably had his wheels turning.
It did. I think it did. And he was like, he looked over at, I I always forget his name from the VA.
Page.
Page. He looks over at Page and he was like, "Do we have room for him at in building 410?" And Page is like, "I mean, we can wait until until we have room." And Teep looks back at me and he was like, "Mr. Winkler, are you still willing to wait for treatment?" And I said, "I'll stay in jail for 6 months if I have to wait that long." I said, I do what I have to do to get clean. He said, "Well, we'll get, I forget what they're called, a screening for you at the VA," which, bro, their food is amazing.
Dude, best treatment food I ever had was the Dayton
By
VA.
far.
Was the Dayton
like,
VA.
I want to just go back there just to eat lunch one day.
It was good.
So I wait 2 weeks, and I'm talking on the phone with the VA, and in between those 2 weeks, and they're telling me, like, I'm in tears, like they're telling me we can't cover you, like,
because other than honorable.
No, I've been to the VA multiple times for treatment, but they said for some reason they don't cover me, like that, like I'm not on their file. There was something in the system that was messed up, because when I went to see Teep again, I was under the impression that I wasn't going to be able to go to the VA, so I was figuring, I was going to have to wait a little bit longer before he found somewhere else for me to go. But because I think the Joshua House was the other one, Joshua House or the
Joseph House.
Joseph House.
That place was sweet, man.
The Joseph House or the VA. And I said, I want to be close to my family. So I wanted to go to the VA. Well, I was under the impression that they wouldn't cover me. But when I got into court that following 2 weeks, I was going with the mindset I'm going to the Joseph House. Page or somebody else was like, "Oh no, there was an error in the system, saying that he wasn't covered, but he's covered, he's covered for the full stay. We're waiting on a bed. It'll be available in 3 days." And he said, "Mr. Winkler, is that good enough for you?" And I said, "Your Honor," I was like, "I'm not even going to lie to you." I said, "There's still going to be a problem with transportation. Like, I'm not going to be able to get to you guys." And he said, "You let me worry about that." And I was like, "Put me in my place. You let me worry about that." So I go to the VA, which I had been there a few other times, like 3 or 4, maybe 6 times. And it's pretty bad when the counselors know you by name.
Yeah. Thanks, Tony.
That's how I know I've been there a few times. And after a couple weeks have gone by of me being there, one of them pulled me aside and he was like, "Who are you?" And I said, "Tony." And he was like, "No." He said, "This ain't the Tony I know." He said, "Who are you?" And I was like, "Man, I guess when you're ready to quit, you're ready to quit. Like, you just, you can't." Every time I'd been there before, it was for my mom, like, "Oh, Mom, I'll go." It was for my girlfriend, "Oh, hey, I'll go. I want us to stay together, so I'll go and get help." You know what I mean?
I do.
The judge, the court, probation. It was never me saying, "I want the help." So that was the difference this time. That was the day I turned myself in was it'll be 4 years this year, so November 4th, 21.
That's awesome, dude.
So I got 3.5 years?
Yeah.
3 years and 5 months.
Yep.
3 years and 5 months in 2 days. Well, in 2 days it'll be 3 years and 5 months.
So there's a part in there where you're getting a ride to Warren County. You're smoking. Andy, what do you mean, Andy?
Getting a ride to Warren County. Oh, I'm sorry. For court.
Yeah, no, okay. For your drug test where you're drinking a baking soda and water.
And smoking a bong at the same time.
And you said that, this might have been God, or that was definitely God, bro. There's no doubt.
I mean, like right when I pulled up, bro, it was just like it just hit me. It was like, could you imagine being somebody passing you up or passing me up, seeing me hitting a bong with a water bottle of baking soda in my hand? That's what was going through my head when I got there. I was like, are you fucking serious? Like, this is what it's come to, that I'm living in. I wasn't even living in an apartment or a house or own a car. I'm 39 years old and I'm acting like I'm, 19. Like, this is what a 19-year-old does. You know what I mean? Like,
it's funny how God, there was times when I decided to really get sober, I kept weed around for a little bit, and God started working through me when I was stoned. Like there were some visions that I had, and then he started this idea of this podcast. Like,
I'm pretty sure I knew you when you was smoking pot.
Oh yeah,
I think you were in Veterans Court when you were smoking, because I'm pretty sure you pissed hot in Veterans Court.
I did. There was a time I had to go back to jail because I was using marijuana while in Veterans Court, and I kind of went to war with Teep about it. And Brandy was my probation officer, and my logic was like, look, the VA's offering me Suboxone, and I want to take, like, my world is too crazy right now, and I need something to calm me down. And if you don't let me use this medical marijuana that I got a license for, then I'm going to go get this Suboxone from the VA.
So what did you do?
They were like, well, let us get back to you on that. And I didn't even wait for them to get back with me on that. I started eating gummies, marijuana gummies. And then they took me to jail over Christmas.
Mm-hmm, I remember that.
Yeah. And then not too long after that, I got on Suboxone. And about almost 8 months ago, I gave it up cold turkey.
So I know you're not on I know this isn't your I mean, it's your podcast, but I know this isn't your story or anything, but I feel like and I'm like back and forth on this, but I feel like Suboxone or Subutex or medical marijuana is cheating sobriety. And that might just be because I quit everything, but I was never on like heroin or anything like that, so I can understand the Suboxone, like the Suboxone and everything, but at the same time, I'm always thinking, like, you don't get put on Suboxone in jail. You know what I mean? So if your dope sickness is gone in jail or prison, why are not you, but why are people, or why would I get put back on Suboxone?
Yeah, I mean, because we want our comfort. So that goes. I think the answer to that, and I can only speak for myself, Tony. I still wanted my coping mechanisms. It wasn't that I necessarily wanted to be high, so I'm over 2 years sober off of any sort of street drugs, right? And I'm almost 8 months sober off of any sort of prescribed medication. And I went back on prescribed medication because the addict in me wanted my coping mechanisms. That's how I coped. From 16 years old, I knew no other way of coping other than marijuana, alcohol, or drugs. And I do classify marijuana as more like an alcohol than a drug. It's, they're a lot more socially accepted, alcohol and weed, and they're not as life ruining as narcotics. They're just not. So from 16 years old until the last few years of my life, and I'm 42, I'll be 43 next month, I had always had a way to cope, and it was always drugs or alcohol. It made me feel more comfortable socially, made me feel more relevant. It made me care less about like little things, you know, like things that I'm trying to teach myself to do now spiritually. Like just.
So you said 8 months ago you quit cold turkey.
Yeah, I was prescribed Suboxone, so I was on a medical assisted treatment therapy. At that point in time, I had been like a year and a half clean from drugs and alcohol, like street drugs and alcohol, but I went on medical assisted therapy, and it was kind of like your moment, dude. I kept going back to my medicine cabinet every morning and every evening. Like, I got to re-up. There's no other way around today. I'm not answering that phone. I'm not answering no text messages from nobody until I do, because they're going to know I'm off. And the thing that I had to come to grips with is I'm a slave to these substances. Mm-hmm. I can't do anything without them. I can't report to work. I can't talk to my friends or my family. I don't want to go out in public unless I have these substances. And that was how I coped with the difficulties of life. So end of last summer, I started realizing I don't want to be on any sort of medication. I want control of my life back. I don't want to be a slave to my medicine cabinet. I don't want my body run by substances.
You want to go camping? Well, can I bring my medicine cabinet with me?
Does your tent have a medicine cabinet? How many does it sleep? Is there a medicine cabinet? But it sounds silly, but that's what I was a slave to. You know, my medicine cabinet. And when my son would be over and we would be, he would be spending the night, it would get to a certain point in the day where it was time for me to have, to dose my medicine, where I'd have to go lay with a piece of Suboxone under my tongue for 15 minutes. I didn't like that at all. I don't want to have to take a pause or a timeout to be dad ever. And
it's great being dad, ain't it?
Oh, it's a beautiful thing.
It's another reason why I'm glad I'm clean today.
Yeah.
Addie's 9, so I wasn't really in her life for the first 6 years. She's 9, and so my dad's been in the hospital for a little while. My stepdad, they got custody of my daughter. So I've been going over there after work every day. She's a diva, bro.
Is she?
So yesterday was April.
That's your baby. You love her, don't you?
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
I do. And she's spoiled rotten, too.
Yeah.
But yesterday was April Fool's Day. And she sent me a message. Forget what I was doing yesterday. Or she went to visit. It's my stepdad, the actual good stepdad. He wasn't in our life until I was already off doing what I wanted to do. But he's been in the hospital for about 8 weeks now, and he's at this rehabilitation place to help him get his strength back and walk and everything. So he's on his way home. But she finally got to go and see him on April 1st, right? And she's like, I made Papa a brownie. And it was the word brown and then a capital E. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she said, not to be confused with a brownie, Dad, but a brown E. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I thought she was pulling an April Fool's joke on me.
Yeah.
Right? And she's like, she sent me a picture of it. And it's a brown cardboard paper.
The letter E.
The letter E. So she's like, she goes, imagine his face, because you're eating hospital food, you want a brownie.
Yeah.
He's diabetic. He wants a brownie.
Yeah.
So she goes in there, she's like, Papa, I got you a brownie. And he's like, really? And she pulls this out, April Fool's. I was like, you little devil. Yeah.
It's good, but you get to have her in your life. I get to have my kids in my life. Like,
we never had that.
Yeah. And not only that, but people see the change, and I don't have anybody in my life today that I'm sensing discomfort with relinquishing, the kids over to me. And then just what God's doing spiritually. I mean, what is in my life is unbelievable. Like when I was using to not have to.
Have you met your third wife yet?
No, at least I don't know.
Come get a job at Fuyao. There's plenty of them.
Oh man, I think God's got something in store for this. This podcasting, bro, and some ministry stuff in my life, and because I think what's missing, especially in like the recovery ministry world, and I don't think it's missing completely, but the biggest element to, people who need recovery is authenticity, being able to state your story and speak it in the dialogue and the terms that you know how to speak it to get it out of you. Mm-hmm. Right. Because a lot of the rooms that I went in, and this was a problem that I had in the beginning, the jargon was more from like the AA
very
book.
Proper English, yeah.
And it's like, that's not how I'm fresh out of prison.
Right.
That's not how I talk.
We are institutionalized up in here.
And the people, like I said at the beginning of this, one of the things I appreciate about you was your honesty. And one thing I can say about jail is most people are really being for real, honest about what they're there for, where they messed up. And that is kind of what the church is supposed to be, right? And there was something more refreshing. I had an easier time being honest to people about doing drugs and sleeping around when I was in jail than I did when I started going to church and stuff. And it's hard to get some of the spiritual people in my life to understand, like, you got to let people be people. You got to let God meet people where they're at. There's a lot of people that do get it. I don't want to make the assumption that nobody does. There's a lot of people that do get it. But that's what I'm trying to bring to the table, Tony. And that's why I love this discussion we've had, bro, is like when you get to talking about, when we get to talking about those dark days of using meth and stuff, like, take all the filters out of it. If you got to cuss, you got to cuss. If you got to talk about hitting a lick, you got to talk about hitting a lick. If you got to talk about chopping dope and fleecing, you got to talk about chopping dope and fleecing. That's what you went through.
I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of stuff that I could have said, but, there's another day. You know what I mean? There'll be another day when you want to hear some other deep, dark secrets or deep, dark stories or...
This podcast ain't going nowhere, bro.
No. And I want you, when you crop it up and everything, I want you to send me a copy. I don't know how you can send me a copy of it, but...
Oh, this is going to be, bro, this whole thing's going to be on YouTube. I'll share
the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to thank you, man.
Really wish you wouldn't have said my last name, but it's all right. My face is all on here.
Bro, you got to put, like, when I go to put this out on the platforms, it's going to say season 1, episode 2, and then your name, bro.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Well, use my government name then, Anthony Winkler.
I might use Top Shelf.
I mean, you could use that. You could use that. People might Google, people might YouTube Top Shelf and be like, what's that?
Oh,
hey, I know him.
Yeah.
Of course, let me put my hat back on, and because you won't recognize me without a hat.
This is going to be on audio platforms too. So to everybody out there listening, thank you so much for tuning in. We just hope, honestly, that our vulnerability, our authenticity, our ability to be able to be truthful and raw about some of the things that we have been through can just be inspiring for you to understand that there is healing in doing that. And there's no shame in whatever your past is or whatever you think that you need to have guilt or shame from. There's absolutely zero shame in being able to be open and honest and talk about it. And I want to thank Tony for joining us on the show. We'd love for you to tune back in next time. We got a great show for you. And thanks for tuning in to the Recovery Couch.